Well, I've gotten cleaned up and made my way into the distillery, and who we have here is Varchas Shankar. We also have Kailash, and Kailash, I don't know how to. I've never pronounced your name, so if you can introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Kailash Sivakumar, the master distiller for Shankar Distillers.
Okay, you're the go-to guy then.
I am.
That's great. And then we also have Raymond. I think Raymond, you're involved with the marketing. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, so we're here today, and what I'd like to do is just give you all a brief overview, and maybe I'll let Shankar give you an overview of what they're doing, how in the world you guys got started, and then just go from there, and we'll fill in the gaps as we go along.
Okay, awesome. So I run the software company V2Soft for about 25 years. And I always wanted to get into a spirits business. There's one aspect to it. The second aspect to it is, as I traveled out of the country very often, especially to India, where I have multiple offices, I found that actually they hardly had any bourbon or hardly had any American whiskey. Found a friend of my friend, Ryan Bruchette, who really came out of his way to tell me and teach me about what it takes to distill. And so in 2021, we bought our first release in Michigan in June 2021. 2023 has gone really big for us, from one state in 21 to 23. Right now we're in almost about 10 states.
So okay. let me ask you a question, and this may go to Ray. So you're in those states, but if somebody's not in one of those states, how can they go ahead and get your product? How can they go ahead and get your rye, your whiskey? How can they access it?
So for those wishing to find any one of our bottles, like Shankar said, we're in around 1,000 stores in Michigan. Any local retailer, and we're in some of the local clubs, golf clubs, as well as restaurants. For those out of state, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Baltimore, or Maryland, Virginia, you can go online and try to find the stores as well. We're in many stores in the areas there. Or if you want to simply go online and go to our shop area on shankardistillers.com, you can find the bottles and have them shipped to you.
One of the questions I have is why India? I understand that India is a very large consumer of whiskey, whether it's craft brewed or some of the big houses.
Yeah, very good question. So India, as you may know, consumes about half of the whiskey made in the whole world, right? So India is a big whiskey country. So it was a no-brainer for us because we already had about 5 offices from my software company V2Soft there. So I have people on ground zero. I have legal, I have accounting, I have human resources, I have all the resources available to at least get started.
One of the things I'd like to just touch on very briefly, I find your bottles unique and distinctive. Give us a little bit of an idea of how you came up with the design on that, and then after we talk about this, I want to figure out what's going on inside of it.
Yeah, so let me actually talk about the bottle and let Kailash talk about the liquid. So he's the expert in that. So as we at the early stages, as we decided to come out with the bottle, we had come out with the name of calling it Varchas, 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 and obviously it starts with a V. So we're trying to look for a sturdy bottle for a whiskey drinker, right? With a V shape. So that's how we designed the bottle to be more V shape. And then actually on the logo on the front of the V of the bottle is a double-headed eagle. It is a symbol of kings of South India. I come from South India originally. I've been here in the US for almost 32 years. So the top of the bottle, it's American eagle. So the intent of the design or the idea behind is, we are trying to create an East and a West mix inside a bottle, right? So I come from the East. I learned the trade from the West. It is basically bringing heritage and innovation together. So the bottle resembles that. So the double-head eagle is the logo from India, whereas the topper is the American eagle. That's how you see the bottle. And then I'll let Kailash talk about different types of products we put inside the bottle.
So, Kailash, before you get started on that this is going to be interesting, but some of my viewers have little or no idea about spirits. So, if you can start off by just addressing the fact that everything starts off clear as water, and then goes from there, and then maybe talk about your mash mix and that sort of thing. And I'm not even sure whether I'm using the right terminology. So correct me if you need to.
That was good terminology. So yeah, you're right. Everything does start out clear. In about 2 months at our new facility in Troy, we'll be making everything here from grain to bottle. All of our whiskey is going to be a high rye whiskey. So what that means is that the second largest grain used in our mash bill is rye grain. And what you get from that is a lot more of a complex flavor. I would say you get a lot of that rye flavor comes through. So you're getting spice, clove, on top of your traditional bourbon flavor. And so you were right. How we make our product starts out clear. We mash all of our grain together, similar to how you'd make beer. And then we ferment that the same exact way. We distill it off of a continuous column, so we're getting just clear liquid out. Then we go into our finishing distillation, where we use the traditional copper pot still. And when we do that, we're making cuts on the whiskey, or any spirit that we're making. When we take our cuts, we're taking off the very first things that boil off, called heads. We're keeping a majority of the product, which is the hearts and kind of all the flavor that we want to develop into our whiskey over time in the barrel. And then the final parts that come off are your heavier fusel alcohols that get cut out as well, called tails. So we do tend to leave a little bit of that heads tails section in there that develops the complex flavor over time in the barrel. So after we've made our cuts and we take our hearts blend, we throw that into the barrel. It sits in the barrel for about 5.5 years before it comes out to the products that are on the screen right now.
So let me ask you another question. This is going to be a question for the novice. What is the difference between bourbon and whiskey?
The first answer is all bourbon is whiskey. No matter what, all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskeys are bourbon. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of rules around making a bourbon, and Kailash can go into those rules around that. Whiskey also has some rules, but not as stringent as the bourbon ones. So, Kailash, you want to give a little detail into it?
Yeah, the main thing behind all the different whiskeys is what is the majority grain that's being used. So for bourbon, the majority grain in the mash bill is going to be corn. So it needs to be 51% or more corn. Rye whiskey, 51% or more rye. Malt whiskey, 51% or more malt. The huge thing about bourbon is it can only be made in America, and the similarities between all of them is they all need to be placed, at least the American version of malt whiskey, they all need to be placed in a new oak barrel. That's a typically white oak, American, and it's typically a charred barrel as well, unlike your wine. And so on all of our whiskeys, what we do is we use char 4 barrels. That's basically like alligator skin looking char on the inside of the barrel, just completely torched up.
So what makes you all unique? What either the process or the mix or the water? I think at one point I saw online that you're using Great Lakes water. Talk a little bit about what makes you all a little bit unique.
Yeah, the biggest thing about the Great Lakes, it is the largest source of fresh water in the world. So having that behind us, utilizing in our processing, I think it really helps us, especially worldwide. We're in India right now, and the fact that we're utilizing the largest source of fresh water in the world for our whiskeys, I think that really puts a big emphasis on our brand and our quality. The differentiation between ours is it's multiple things, but I think one of the biggest things is the story behind it. And I think you went into a little bit before when you're talking about the eagles, right, in the bottle and the packaging. If you look at the packaging itself, it actually tells a story of Varchas V. our owner.
Varchas, he is an American success story. This is the classic that we hear so much about, and more recently, people have not been talking about this. But I think that the story is a very unique story, and it is the American success story.
So Pierre, yeah. Thank you. As I lived through my American dream, through my software company, now through the distillery, one of a couple more unique things how it differentiates us versus our competition or other spirits. Number one, Ray talked about the story. The second one I would like to add is the experience what we are building in the distillery. So you're going to see a big mural wall, white wall is being painted now. You're going to see half of the mural wall is going to be the old palace from Mysore of kings that ruled South India for centuries. And the other half is going to be the old 1960s city of Detroit. Okay. And as you come into the distillery, you're going to have a lot of those unique, cool things inside the distillery that's going to make your experience give you this east and west mix. On top of it, actually, the way in which you're producing the liquid or the alcohol or whiskeys is very scientific, which means we have very high-end systems that has been very well designed and architected by a couple of really large companies. So we are from selecting the grain to the mixing at different points is all very scientific. Again, my master distiller Kailash is a chemical engineer from the state of Michigan State University. So everybody local here. So I've been in Michigan for 32 years, most of my adult life. So I think Scott and Ray and all my team are local Michigan guys and girls. So I think actually bringing that high tech scientific innovation and heritage together is where I think we make a difference. While we create local jobs, while we invest back into the community, those are all the additional benefits that we bring it back to the community. But all in all, I think we are different. We are not the same old distilleries what you see in the market.
Yeah, this has been a tremendous time of you introducing, and I know you're limited on time, but I want to express appreciation for what the time you have taken to introduce yourself and the fact that you've created such a unique product. One of the things that I found unique, another thing that I found unique is one of the things that an individual can do is they can buy it by the bottle, by the case, or by the barrel. Is there any final thing that you would like to leave with us?
We are going to be opening our distillery for tours and tastings, hopefully by end of December into early January. For the holiday season, we have a number of amazing products and packages that are available in our distillery, and we have lots of incent discounts that we are giving out if they buy different bottles. Andre, before the company, do you want to let them know how to pronounce the name?
Yeah. So a lot of people have look at it and they want to say Varchas all the time, but it's not. It's actually Varchas.
Well, and I appreciate you telling us that, because in talking with my son who knows Varchas, I kept asking him. He kept talking about Shankar.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what about Varchas? Or no, I said, what about Varchazi? And I pronounced it a whole, and he goes, hey, Dad, it's Varchas Shankar. Just get it right. and so Varchas Shankar. People, don't forget. Hey, Posse, and that's the name of my group. Hey, Posse, don't forget. It's Varchas Shankar. Well, there you have it, a beautiful bourbon in a classic bottle. Now, I want to just take a quick minute to thank Varchas Shankar and his team for the quick education and the time together, particularly while he was over in India. What more could you ask for than to add a beautiful bourbon like this to your collection, or actually give it as a holiday gift? If you're interested, check the link in the description below. Folks, thanks for joining me on this visit to Shankar Distillery. And don't forget to share this with your whiskey drinking friends. Until next time, cheers.